Back with Mary Fetchet, we saw former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani explaining that it was one source alone, the terrorists, and then we saw some of the relatives saying that got you guys even madder because obviously it wasn't just the terrorists, it was our failure of the government to protect us. And then you had Richard Clark apologizing. How did you feel about that kind of testimony, both ends?
Well, I think we definitely disagreed with Mayor Giuliani. You know, in our research, we saw that there were many commissions, the Hart-Rudnick Commission, the Gore Commission, all evaluating the threat of terrorism in the airline industry and otherwise. And I think our frustration still today, I have the 9/11 Commission report here that Governor Kane signed, and he put, we've been great partners, now the real work begins. I mean, here we have yet, one more commission report that's not fully implemented. And, it's almost 6 years after 9/11. Some of the frustrations, I think, today, first responders still can't communicate. That's pretty basic, and being able to respond to an emergency. And yet I go back to the '93 bombing, when the report that was given to the FCC and then the NTIA clearly states that that was a failure in the 1993 bombing and in the Oklahoma City bombing.
So once all of these pieces were put together in the hearings, and then you folks, you relatives had all this information, how did you move then to get the government to implement them, to pass legislation? I mean, some of the measures that the 9/11 Commission recommended have been implemented.
Well, I think we became their institutional memory. We were the faces of the victims. We had become well known in Washington. We had actually developed partners with not just the commissioners, but some of our elected officials that wanted to move the legislation forward. And so we just continued that uphill battle. We hit, again, a lot of roadblocks, but we were able to prevail. Yet, as Governor Kane said, even now with legislation passed, it's clear that we still have an uphill battle in implementing it.
What is that battle about right now? What has been implemented and what has not? I mean, tell the folks who are watching us from at home, what should they be worried about? What did the Commission recommend that has not been implemented and should really be implemented in a hurry?
Well, I think, as I said before, first responders have to be able to communicate. There's a deadline of 2009 where the broadcasting industry is going to give up spectrum, so they have that ability to communicate. They're going to need equipment that's compatible, not just with their own communities, but on the regional and state level.
So you're talking about emergency service, police, fire, all of them being able to talk to each other.
I think Homeland Security monies has to be given to communities that are high risk. I mean, there's been many reports out there of buying gym equipment or garbage trucks with Homeland Security money. It has to be dedicated to the target areas like New York, Washington, D.C., and the vulnerable areas. Congress has to reform itself. We're still trying to get this legislation through. There's clear jurisdictional battles. If Congress was streamlined, they could be more accountable and have clear oversight over what they're supposed to be implementing.
Okay, when we come back, a couple of reporters from the Bronx Journal will join us to ask more questions of Mary Fetchet. We'll be right back.